It's actually a common misunderstanding about the Bible is that, people say that the Bible condones slavery.
All right, let's see it.
The reality is that slavery in ancient Israel was more of what we might think of indentured servitude.
While indentured servitude is one of the types of what we might call enslavement that is condoned in the Bible, and particularly when it comes to the servitude of other Israelites, it is not remotely the only type of slavery endorsed or condoned in the Bible. Chattel slavery is explicitly endorsed in the Bible.
The practice that we saw in the African slave trade, that would be completely illegal in ancient Israel. There were laws that prevented people from capturing people or kidnapping them and selling them. That was not a practice that happened in ancient Israel.
This is flatly false, although the African slave trade was more cruel and was also based on the concept of race as a question of skin color, which is not true of the chattel slavery of the Bible. There is no law anywhere in the Bible that prohibits the capturing or kidnapping of foreign peoples in order to subject them to slavery. This creator is misrepresenting one law in Exodus 21, verse 16, which prohibits kidnapping a man under penalty of death. Now, this man is an Israelite man. So it is not explicitly stated in the text, but the source for this law is Law 14 from the laws of Hammurabi, and the parallel law in Deuteronomy 24:7 makes explicit that this is only the penalty should an Israelite man be captured. And this is also only true within the land of Israel. And so this is actually not related to the chattel slavery of the Hebrew Bible, which is endorsed explicitly in Leviticus 25 verses 44 through 46, when it is non-Israelites who are being enslaved. It says that you can go to the nations around Israel to purchase your slaves, and they will be your property, your chattel, in perpetuity. And one of the other indications that the prohibition on kidnapping within Exodus 21:16 actually has no bearing on the legality of chattel slavery within ancient Israel is the fact that, again, this law was borrowed from the laws of Hammurabi, which also prohibit the kidnapping of free-born male citizens, while also endorsing explicitly chattel slavery. So Exodus 21:16, Deuteronomy 24:7, the Babylonian source for this law, none of this has any bearing whatsoever on the legality of chattel slavery, which is explicitly endorsed in Leviticus 25 verses 44 through 46.
But if you had accumulated personally so much debt that you were not able to pay it off yourself, you were able to sell yourself to another family for the purpose of working off your debt. That would only last for a period of 6 years. On the 7th year, you had to be freed. That was the law, regardless if you'd paid all the debt off or not. There were all sorts of other laws about how those individuals would be treated to make sure that the conditions were, good for them. And in fact, many people ended up deciding to stay with those families and continue to work with them beyond that time period. And that's what we call a bond servant in Israel.
So this is debt slavery, which is prescribed within the text of the Hebrew Bible only for Israelite citizens. It is not consistent. It is represented in different ways. For instance, if you look at Exodus, a man can sell his daughter into slavery, which ultimately will be sex slavery. And unlike the men, the woman does not go free in the 7th year, but is a sex slave in perpetuity. Deuteronomy has it different, where both the male and the female debt slaves are released in the 7th year. We have no indication at all that anyone actually ever chose to stay with their master in perpetuity. What we have is a law in Exodus saying if they want to stay forever, here's the ritual that you must perform in order to mark them as a perpetual debt slave.
So sorry, just not the case.
Chattel slavery is 100% endorsed within the Hebrew Bible, specifically Leviticus 25 verses 44 through 46. And this creator's attempt to misrepresent debt slavery as the only kind of slavery that was allowed within Israel is remarkably uninformed, remarkably dishonest, or both.